Hello folks, welcome back to the podcast today. I'm hoping that you are well, hoping that you are good this time of the year. Funny enough, seems to get busier, right? Seems to get quite busy, that last final push before the end of the year. So I'm hoping that you are well. I'm also hoping that you enjoyed the previous podcast with my host, Hungani Ndlovu. What a great episode. What a great conversation we had around so many different things, around manhood, around therapy, around his foundation. I went to watch the show, by the way, for the second time. What a great show. And wow, just those guys are just doing really, really incredible things. And so if you haven't watched the show go back and watch it. I believe it'll bless you. Also today, I want to just once again say thanks to this Pantelis for continually hosting this podcast, the podcast Beyond the Stage. They're just incredible. A great family restaurant in the Randburg area, Summerfield Center. You'll find them. They're right in the corner over there. They're actually right next to Mug and Bean. Quick punt there for Mug and Bean too, but they're great. Hey, they also deliver. I know when my dad was ill and my mom was kind of looking for places to deliver food, they used to deliver right to home. The great menu, a great family restaurant. So yeah, hit them up, support them. They're incredible. They're amazing, and they'll be right there with you to have you have some good grabs. So awesome stuff. Not to forget Active Blue. Peter and Active Blue, who are doing all the camera work since I started the show, have been absolutely amazing. If you need any videography within your churches, they do so much good work. What do they call that thing, Peter, where you go up in the air with all that stuff? What is all drone work? He does drone work. All of the drone work stuff. He just does incredible. Check him out on his website, check him out on Instagram, check him out on the socials, and hook him up if you need any work, small or big. He'll be able to help you out as well. So to the show today, folks, I want to share with you something that's been going on in my life. So recently I did the 947 cycle challenge, folks. About 2 weeks ago, I did the 947 cycle challenge, and I want to share with you a little bit about my experience leading up to, on, and after the 947 cycle challenge. First of all, what an experience. Well run, excellent. The organizers just great. Really, really good. I enjoyed I did it last year. I did the shorter one last year, and this year I did the full one. And I want to share with you a little bit about my experience. But before I do that, I want to go a little bit back to go a little bit about my journey and the experience as to how I found myself on the 947 cycle challenge and the things I've been currently doing at this age of my life. June 2022, and I've shared this a couple of times on the podcast already, I stepped down from full-time ministry. I was not healthy, as I've mentioned before. My marriage was not at the best place. My kids were not getting the best of me. And I engaged, I tried to make some changes in my job spec and tried to for a while, and things were not working out the way I wanted it to, until eventually I met up and had a meeting with Pastor Joshua McCauley, and he had a good conversation with me and said, hey, look, I believe it's time you take the step. He believes in health, he believes in well-being. Take the step. Step down from full-time ministry. And so I want to give credit to where credit is due. He was a big contributor to my decision making at the time. And so I made the brief step, and you got to understand, folks, I've been doing this since I was 17 years old. As I mentioned to you, I'm 48 years old. And so I took the step, and man, there was so many different things that happened in my head, in my heart. Have I missed my calling? Have I missed my destiny? How do I do life off of stage? So many different things. And so I engaged in this journey of growth, of therapy, as I've mentioned before. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do, is the 947 cycle challenge. You see, Sundays were a work day. Sundays where I was engaged in church, I'd seen them corner off the roads and stuff, and I never gave it any mind. And I thought, what are they doing? I need to get to church, and I'm working. but stepping back from it all, and you may call it a midlife crisis. I don't know what it may be, but I wanted to engage in things that I'd never done before, that I've always envisaged. Call it my dream board, call it my my desires that I've always wanted to accomplish. And so I embarked on the journey of doing the 947 cycle challenge. I bought a bike, I invested in certain things, and what a process it has been. What a growth process for me it has been. What a learning for me it has been. And so I started taking up cycling. I started walking my dog. I did a podcast on walking my dog. I started a little bit of gardening. I started doing the things that I'd never engaged in before to try to live a more balanced, healthier life. 3 years later, I think I'm starting to get it right. I think I'm starting to find that balance of life. We never all have it all together, but I'm starting to find what works for me. And I think that's the point, right? Is finding what works for you in your life so that you can live life healthier, fuller, engaged with people around you, engaged with God, engaged with your spouse, engaged with your children, engaged in life, being influential, being impactful within your life. And so for me, I've tried to find those certain things. And so I wanted to go back a little bit to go forward, because I think context is everything. Context is key to why we do what we do, how we've ended up where we've ended up, why we're accomplishing some of the things that we're accomplishing. And so some of the things I've learned on the 947 cycle challenge, and I've given you a bit of a backdrop, and I could talk for hours about the backdrop alone, but I think we need to get on to what the podcast is about today. 947 cycle challenge. Last year, I decided to do it. I felt I wasn't ready, and so I did the mini one. Great experience. I rocked up on that Sunday, 12,000 participants, and I'm like, what? This is amazing. All of you people, where do you come from? How have you been doing this for all these years? This is incredible. I was like, what have I been missing out on? It was just such an interesting experience for me, because I'd never done that kind of thing before. I'd never stepped outside of my normal way of life. I'd never pursued certain things. I'd never it's just been what I've always done. And I'm not bringing that down. I'm just realizing that there could have been maybe a bit of a fuller life, maybe a bit of a balanced life that I could be involved in. I'd never afforded myself that opportunity before. I was very much in a world of my own, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think once you start to grow, and once you start to mature, and once you start to ask certain questions and do certain things, even no matter what age you are at, Lois was here a couple of episodes ago talking about, people only start to find what they do sometimes at 50, at 60 or whatever. So it doesn't matter of age. It matters that you are engaging with life and growing in who you are as a person. And so coming back to what I was saying, I saw all these people and I was like, this is wow. These people have been doing this for all these years. It was just so interesting for me. It was an eye opener for me. It was wow, this is different. This is quite interesting. And I started embarking on the journey. This year, started embarking on it again and started training and all the rest of it. And I've learned so much. But one thing I want to say, a couple of points. My first point is agency. Agency. Having agency in your life to take a root of the things that are important to you. And it sounds like I say this quite a bit within this podcast, Beyond the Stage podcast. I think the reason why I say that quite a bit, and things like I'm mentioning in the journey that I'm on and the things that I'm discovering, is because I think there was a big part of my life that was excluded from a whole other world. And once I started engaging in that world, it enlarged my mind, it enlarged my heart in different ways. I will always be a born-again Christian worshiper to the best of my ability, but my world excluded me from other things in life. And so when you hear me talk, you may think, what is this, new age? Is this what's going on right now? I'm on my journey, and so are you. My desire is always to put God smack bang in the middle, and I think also to engage in conversations where we could challenge each other and challenge myself. So I'm on my journey, and so are you. Some things I may say may sound wrong, may sound off, but I'm on my journey. And you know what? I'm actually okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm open to correction. I'm open to growth. I'm open to confrontation within my life, to trusted people who are in my life. And so agency. When I say agency, a sense of control within my life. It is the understanding that your influence, that you influence your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions rather than being a passive victim of circumstances. Wow, that's quite a mouthful, right? So agency is, rather than being a passive victim of circumstances, I am starting to take agency over the direction of my life. Agency affirms your value. What value do you have? Who are you? Who am I? When you act out of a place of agency, you're essentially saying, I matter enough to make decisions. I matter enough to make decisions. That strengthens self-worth. It strengthens self-worth because it recognizes that you are an active participant in your own life. I'm not just gonna, when I had the experience of going to these places, engaging in certain things, I'm like, whoa, this is interesting. I will say, although, I think it does take a mature person to look at both worlds and to see the balance, where God comes in and where you come in and where that balances out within your life. Agency drives mindset change. Agency is a responsibility and freedom combined. It's not just about control. It's about owning your responses and choosing how to engage with your life. In short, low agency, life happens to me. High agency, I have a say on how I respond, grow, and create meaning. Does that make sense? And I've found when I've started to engage in these different things, and these things may seem simple, but in the bigger context of life, they bring meaning to me. And I think this challenge of this podcast is what brings meaning to you. I'm a performer. When I get up on stage, the big part of my life, yes, it's worship, but there's a performance element to it. And I've had to try to balance that out with life, with my finances, with health, with so many different aspects. And how does that bring meaning to me? In your life, how does that bring meaning to you so that you can have a high agency and responsibility within your life that you can go, I feel like I'm winning for me. I feel like I'm accomplishing for me. And so this whole experience of the 947 Cycle Challenge has not been about the ride, even though I'm going to mention points later on about the ride. It's about taking agency for my life, about having things that I enjoy, about having things that I value within my life. And this has been such an eye-opener for me. It's really opened up my eyes to a bigger world, to more. And I've enjoyed it quite some. So number 2 of what I've learned from the 947 Cycle Challenge experience that I've had. I often take lessons from the experiences that I've had and try to apply them to my life because they make so much more meaning and so much more sense. So number 2, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. This 947 Cycle Challenge, it's 97 Ks, but 98 Ks, 98 Ks, just on 100 kilometers. And I thought I was prepared, folks. Those hills, they got me. In fact, I'm so grateful because I had a friend who, I practiced and rehearsed with some guys that I'd met when I went out to the cradle and worked out with them and did some Ks with them. So I thought, cool. And they decided they'd meet up with me, and they were very gracious, very, very gracious to meet with me. And we started the race together. Throughout the race, I was trying to contact my wife, and so the guys went ahead of me. This was just by about Kyalami, and the guys went ahead of me, and obviously it's my first time doing this, right? And so I'm just like, cool, in it to win it, right? In it to win it. And put the phone away and writing. And as I look over, I see an old friend of mine that I did Bible college with, Marvin. And I look over and I go, is this him? Because he's wearing the hat and the whole thing, and cap and, the whole thing. And I thought, and I lean over and I go, hey, Marvin. And he looks over, and obviously we made a connection. But I tell you, he helped me through the race. Basically, up those hills, he was help. Where the cyclists push you up like that. And I realized on the race, I thought I could have prepared a little bit more. I could have really done a little bit more work, and I'm looking at it as a challenge, and I realized that I could, if he wasn't there, I think it would have been a lot harder for me to make it through the whole process in the time that I did. By the way, my time was 4 hours and 30 minutes, 4 hours 31 minutes for the first time. My age is not bad. Next year we're gonna try to go about 4 hours, if not less. That's all gonna be dependent though on my training before. And so I realized that I could have really put in a little bit more work, a little bit more effort, and really I applied that to my life in general, with my health, with my finances, with my relationships, in so many different areas. And I realized by God's grace, I can step it up. By God's mercy, I can step it up within those areas of my life beyond the stage, okay? And so I wrote a song a while ago called Stop Losing Time. And it applies so much to this, what I'm talking about, the pain of regret or the pain of discipline. The chorus goes, time to get on up or get on now. The time is now. Stop losing time to shape on up or get on out. The time is now. Stop losing time. And so we got to stop losing time. The verses of the song go, my life, God talks to me through music, hence beyond the stage, right? And music and my background. So the verse goes, I let it slip through my hands a many a time, a many a day. And many a thing I wanted to do or say, instead I played. If I sow now, I'll reap later. If I play now, I'll pay later. The thought of losing it instead of using it has often been my story. Get up, get over, get on. I don't want no regrets in this song. Yes, it's time I am moving on, getting strong. This is my life. The second verse goes, well, this is it. I can't just walk. I've got to talk the things I say. And I'd be a fool and totally uncool if I'd be doing it a different way. Let your yes be yes and let your no be no, because anything else is off the wall. There's just way too much inside of me. I'm talking destiny and there's no time to sleep. Get up, get over, get on. I'm not living with regrets, no. Yes, it's time I am moving on, getting strong. This is my life, time to stop losing time. And many a times in life, right, we lose time. God, by His grace and His mercy, helps us out, and He encourages us and motivates us. But many times, you know, I use this whole construct. I spoke to my family and said, guys, come on. If we can do something now, do it now. Don't wait. Do it now. Get on it. If you can pick up your clothes, pick it up now. And I started using analogies because this so applied to my life. And this was so impactful that I realized, you know what? I can motivate myself with certain things and my family. Come on, let's try to step it out. Now, if we fall, if we mess up, God will always help us. I'm not trying to bring judgment and condemnation, because we can never live from that space in life. We can never live from a mind of regret. I'm trying to bring the point across that sometimes the pain of regret is worse than the pain of discipline. Let's discipline ourselves. And I learned that lesson. Come on, you can get up early, learn. You can do that extra ride so that you don't have that pain when you're riding up those hills and riding and challenged. You may next year you're not going to have someone pushing you. Sometimes we have people pushing us all the time. Come on, let's desire to motivate ourselves. And you know where that joy comes? When we feel that satisfaction within ourselves, when we feel that motivation within ourselves, not just on stage, but off stage. And so I was challenged in that regard to stop losing time. There's a scripture in Ephesians 5 that says, so what's your step? Use your head. Make the most of every chance you get. These are desperate times. And these are desperate times, folks. These are desperate times. Another version, the Message version of that says, don't live carelessly, unthinkably. Make sure you understand what the Master wants. Make sure you understand what the Master wants in your life. You know, if I look at in the Word of God once again, and I drew so many analogies from this, as you can tell, I've been thinking about this quite a bit. Luke 14:31 through to 32 says, for what king going to war against another king does not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him who comes against him with 20,000, or else, while the other is still a great way off, he sends a delegation and asks conditions for peace. Can you believe that, right? So many analogies that I've learned from this experience of the 947 cycle challenge. It wasn't just the 947 cycle challenge. Quite deep today, huh? I want to draw you to a gentleman who we all know, C.S. Lewis. And he says this in his book, From Mere Christianity. He says, teachers will tell you that the laziest boy in the class is the one who works the hardest in the end. They mean this. If you give two boys, say, a proposition of geometry to do, the one who is prepared will take the trouble to try to understand it. The lazy boy will try to learn it by heart because for a moment it needs less effort. But 6 months later, when they are preparing for the exam, the lazy boy is doing hours and hours of miserable drudgery over the things that the other boy understands and positively enjoys. In a few minutes, laziness means more work in the long run. Oh, some of us are saying Aina. I'm saying Aina. Because it's true, right? Laziness means more work in the long run. It means more graft in the long run. Or you look at it this way. In a battle or a mountain climbing, there is often one thing that takes a little bit more pluck to do. And it also, in the long run, is the safest thing to do. If you funk it, you will find yourself hours later in a far worse danger. And the cowardly thing is also the most dangerous thing. Can you see that I've drawn quite a bit from this 947 cycle challenge? Wow. So I want to encourage you, rather have the pain of discipline. Towards the end of this year, try to just discipline yourself to do the graft, to put in the work. I'm talking to myself as well as to you, beyond the stage viewers, beyond the stage subscribers. Do the hard thing, man. Do the hard thing. Your family will thank you. Your kids will thank you. Your wife will thank you. Do the hard thing first, as opposed to having regret and saying, I should have, would have, could have. And where you have messed up, ask God to help you, those around you to help you. Just like my friend came when I thought, oh, this is hard. Guess what? I looked at that as an analogy of God just helping me out on this ride, because it was tough, folks. It really, really was tough. And I learned a couple of lessons. Number 3, some practical things from my 947 cycle challenge. It's expensive. It's expensive. Okay? Things do add up. But you know what? I made it work. I bought myself a nice little bike, got the clothing, got the hat, which was given to me. And so I made it work, because that was my desire, to do the 947 cycle challenge. And so it is pricey, but you know what? I made it work. And as things go, I can get a better bike and I can do certain things. But you know what? I didn't want that to be an excuse. And so I did the work. I went on Marketplace, cycling, read up, had a look, and Googled and did the thing. And guess what? I get some great shoes, all the paraphernalia. I got it, and I'm getting into it more, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But it is expensive. The more you get into it, it is expensive. And so thanks, babe, for supporting me with that. Number 2, discipline and consistency matter more than intensity. You see, if I discipline myself more leading up to the race, it would have been a lot better. I'm reading a book right now called Atomic Habits from James Clear. And that's basically what he says. The discipline of consistency as opposed to intensity matters in the long run. And you can apply that to other areas within your life. The discipline of just doing the small things. It doesn't have to be the huge, big things. Sometimes that does happen in life. But you know what? I'm learning in this age of my life, the small things, the small habits can go a really, really long way. And sometimes it's hard at the time, but just put in the work, wake up earlier. I could talk about your relationship with Christ, the small things, the reading of the word, the worship times, the praying in the Spirit, the small things, as opposed to the big size things that we try to do sometimes. Discipline yourself, folks. It's going to pay off in the long run. Nutrition and rest are a part of the training. About 4 weeks before, I was like Googling, what should I eat? How should I rest? And so nutrition and rest help very much so, especially the older you get, right? Pacing yourself is wisdom. In the race, you think, go, go, go. No, pace yourself. Pace yourself is important, okay? Preparation creates confidence. You know that what they say, the old saying, when you fail to prepare, when you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. And so preparation creates confidence. And so I learned that, and it's a continual thing that you learn. One thing I also learned is that community, it helps to have community. It helps to have a people that are cheering you on. I'd like to thank those guys who supported me. If they watch this back, thank you, gents. I really, really appreciate it. All right. Another thing I learned is that fear and regret are not motivators. Come on. If there's regret within your life for certain things, like you should have prepared and done certain things, don't let it get you down. Get up, pray through it. Let it motivate you to move forward, okay? And then lastly, God loves us and He wants the best for us, right? He wants the best for us. In these milestones that we're setting for ourselves, come on, let's not live in regret. Let's get over it. Let's get through it. And let's stay motivated in that regard. So lastly, on this whole thing that I've said regarding the 947 cycle challenge, and I'm going to do it again next year, I could have prepared a little bit better. The night before, there's certain things that happened. I was like, the day itself, there's certain things that happened. But I was so motivated by a couple of things that my kids wrote for me to inspire me on the day. My kids have been amazing. My oldest daughter, CJ, my boy, Jono, Jamie Lynn, and my wife, just absolutely incredible, even though it was tough for all of us on the day. But we learned a lot. But my boy said this. He said, "You got this, Dad." He drew a Naruto character for me over here. A quote from Naruto. And in his mind, this made perfect sense. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. But you got this. He says, "Don't be afraid of death. Be afraid of an unlived life." Wow, Jonathan, can you believe it, bro? Don't be afraid of death. Be afraid of an unlived life. I love that. I was like, yes, at the end of that whole experience, I was like, oh boy, that's so precious. You don't know how you feel when you don't, you don't know how you feel when dead, so don't regret the way you lived. Can you believe that? Do what scares you till it does not. One day you'll just be a memory, so don't be, so do your best to be a good one. My boy's 11 years old. Where does he get this? So incredible. So I was really, really motivated, inspired and challenged by that, right? Especially along the lines of what I've even shared on today. And then my girl, Jamie Lynn, she drew me this whole thing. Can you believe it? You're spinning the world as you cycle. And there's the world and it's cycling. I think this camera can see it over there, which is pretty cool. Clock it, Dad, clock it. Very, very cool. And then she wrote some scriptures over here, which I'll read. 1 Peter 5, verse 7. Overthinking will kill your peace. Pray and live. And leave it to God, for He cares for you. John 15:18 says, "Do not expect to be honored in the world where the Lord was crucified." Thank you, Jamie. Ephesians 6, verses 18, "Fight your battles through prayer and win your battles through faith." Prayer is the key to heaven, and faith unlocks the door. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139. Isaiah 43, verses 2 says, "When you feel like you are drowning in an ocean of stress, remember that your Savior walks on water." Don't fear, only believe. I love this. "For I know the plans I have towards you, declares the Lord." And so, my kids were just so beautiful. And even though a part of the process while riding, I was like, oh, I never want to do this like this again. When I see the tree, just get over the hill to the, But you know what? All in all, a great experience. Learned a lot. Thanks to the 947 Cycle team, everybody for putting it together. I learned a lot, grew a lot, and I'm grateful at the stage of my life that I can pursue these things that will energize me, give agency into my life, make me discipline my life in certain, it really helps me be healthier. And so all in all, a great experience. I've learned a lot. Not going to live in regret. We're going to move forward. We're going to stop losing time. We're going to maximize the moment and learn a lot by God's grace and His mercy. And so we'll see you next year on the ride. And I hope that this has encouraged you folks. Please do engage with me. If these things challenge you and motivated you as it motivated and challenged me, leave a comment. Send this to somebody who would appreciate it and feel inspired and motivated. This is myself, Lyndon Petersen, not just talking about our on-stage experience, but just these hardcore life experiences and the things that we're learning as we are journeying. We're journeying together, learning together, growing together, and I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. Be blessed, be motivated. God loves you, I love you. Thanks for viewing and being on the journey with me. God bless.